Joining us now from Ted's newest location in downtown Buffalo is Katie Gibbous. And Katie, is there any room in there for you to even stand and give us this report right now?
No, barely. There is barely any room for me. You'll see people coming in front of the camera. So if you lose me, it's okay. I'm just hanging out. Look at this. I'm now at the back of the line. We've gotten a nice little break here. Not too long of a line right now. We're going to talk to one woman, but the line was just moving too fast. She's already up and getting her hot dogs. The line's not that bad. How long have you been waiting?
Oh, I just got here.
See? He just got here, so not too bad. Okay. As you can see, it's a crazy scene here.
Spectrum News reporter Rochelle Aline joins us now from Buffalo Niagara International Airport with the latest. Rochelle?
Yeah, Harvey has destroyed more than 87,000 homes in Houston alone, and that destruction is now expected to spread to Louisiana with more rain on the way. The death toll currently is at 39 people, and officials say that's expected to rise. The Red Cross is just one of many groups lending a hand to those in need after Hurricane Harvey. They've got more than 2,000 volunteers on the ground, 12 of which are from Western and Central New York. This morning, the communications director for the local Red Cross, Jay Bonafide, flew out to join them in Houston. Jay says they've got more than 200 shelters open right now, with thousands staying in them. And he says at the moment they're focused on meeting people's basic needs.
The best way to help is through a financial donation. That's what allows us to get those resources, both human and materials, the cots, the blankets, the food, the water, the comfort kits, all directly where they need to be as quickly as possible.
The man who is allegedly the driver in a May hit and run was arraigned in Buffalo City Court this morning. Spectrum News reporter Kevin Jolly joins us now with the story of how this case ended in an arrest. Kevin?
That's right, Katie, and it is a very interesting story. First of all, 54-year-old Wade Sanders is now charged with leaving the scene of an accident causing death. Now, he's facing those charges connected to the hit-and-run accident that happened on May 26, resulting in the death of 60-year-old Arthur Redrick. Now, here is a look at Wade as he stood before the judge in Buffalo City Court this morning to hear the charges against him. Now, perhaps the most interesting thing about this hearing was how Wade was actually brought to justice. Now, it was largely due to the efforts of the victim's family. Now, one family member told us that immediately following the fatal accident, they launched their own investigation. Redrick's family secured the videotape of the vehicle involved in that hit-and-run accident. Then they took to the streets asking questions that ultimately led them to Wade. Now, Redrick's niece says it came to a head Saturday when they cornered Wade near Comstock and Park Ridge.
He was back on Dartmouth. As he was back on Dartmouth, my mother and my brother pulled up. My brother hopped out the car, and my brother told him, like, you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving the scene. You're going to go to jail. Like, you did this, you're going to pay the price.
Those in favor of putting Buffalo's new train station at the Central Terminal are gathering for a peaceful protest. Spectrum News reporter Rochelle Aline is in the Central Terminal and joins us now with more. Rochelle?
Yeah, Katie, that group says they just want to make sure their voices are heard ahead of that train selection committee's vote later this month. They say putting that new train station here is really a no-brainer. They say that it has a lot of history, having been here for decades. They also say putting it here would help to revitalize the east side.
The town of Tonawanda man may spend more than a decade behind bars. John Hurl was arraigned in court on Friday on 3 felony charges, including manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, and criminal sale of a controlled substance. Investigators say last September, Hurl allegedly gave a drunk woman crushed opioid pills, telling her it was cocaine. She died in his home, and police say he fled the scene. This incident is the first in Erie County charging a homicide offense for an opiate overdose death.
Let this case, though, send a message, though, to every drug dealer in this town and this county. If you sell drugs to someone and they die of an overdose, I am coming after you.
Hurl pleaded not guilty and is being held in jail without bail until his next court appearance.
Today marks the 40th anniversary of the arrival of 2 ships in Buffalo. The Buffalo Naval Park celebrated the arrival of the USS Little Rock and USS the Sullivans, along with several volunteers who helped move the ships from Philadelphia to Buffalo.
When I get you know, at the point on the thruway where I can see the ship, I just get butterflies, and it's a great memory and experience.
The volunteers were honored Saturday for their contributions to the Naval Park, and all of their stories were added to the Buffalo Naval Park's new Veterans Recording Archive.
More than 1,000 kids got active on the field Saturday at the annual Play 60 event. Season ticket holders and their families were able to participate in a fun-filled and educational day. The goal was to get children of all ages up and outside for 60 minutes of play. There were plenty of water stations and snacks on the field to keep hydrated on their day. The Junior Bills fans got to choose what they wanted to play from several football stations, putt-putt, and even a Bills-themed Zumba.
The best thing about this event for me is just seeing the kids and the smiling faces. You know, when you see the little 6-year-old wearing their Sammy Watkins jersey, it's just a lot of fun to see. Those are future Bills fans, and they're the kids on the stands cheering the Bills on.
And kids were able to take a tour of New Era Field and go through the Bills locker room.
More than 200 students are ready for the new school year thanks to one local activist. Organizer Stephen Wright handed out bags filled with supplies at a back-to-school event in Buffalo Saturday. Wright says the goal was to give parents less to worry about and make sure their kids had tools for success.
Giving back can inspire other youth in the community to stand up and give back. We got so many negative things in the community. I want to see somebody to see me, and hopefully by them seeing me do what I'm doing here today, I can inspire somebody to do the same thing.
Pride Week in Buffalo began Tuesday morning with the 26th annual flag raising ceremony.
We are proud to be able to host the raising of the Pride flag and the transgender flag here in Niagara Square, right outside of Buffalo City Hall.
But a former city employee who is transgender showed up to the event, speaking out about what she says is the city's failure to enact guidelines for transgender employees. Camille Hopkins says she transitioned in 2002 while working for the city and was told by city officials new guidelines for transgender people weren't necessary.
In the years that I worked in City Hall as a transgender employee, both the Masiello and Brown administrations made the poor decision to not establish best practice guidelines. As a result, my dignity and my safety were compromised.
Hopkins says the policies will help other transgender city employees have the protection she didn't have in 2002. Crystal Rodriguez, Chief Diversity Officer for the City of Buffalo, had this to say in response to Hopkins' claims.
Policies have completely changed. That was, she began the transition under a different administration. Since then, Mayor Brown has made sure that if any employee decided that they wanted to transition, that not only would they feel comfortable in employment, but they'd also have the opportunity to be covered by insurance to be able to make that transition.
Rodriguez says the city has met with Hopkins and they're currently rewriting the city's employee handbook to include transgender guidelines. She also pointed out that a gender-neutral restroom was installed at City Hall and transgender employees have avenues to make complaints if they're feeling uncomfortable. In Buffalo, LaMonica Peters, Spectrum.
They're often the ones that show up in our greatest time of need. And this weekend, they're reaching out to the community in hopes of filling one of their own.
We always have a need for new volunteers to come in and help supplement us.
Dozens showed up to answer that call at Cheektowaga's Doyle Hose Company 1 for the Firemen's Association of the State of New York's recruitment drive. They were put through their paces and in the end got a real feel for the field.
It's a way to help your community out and help people that you don't even know.
Once it's all said and done, recruits then have the option of signing up to be considered for the job. It's something that current volunteer Joe Tasker says changed his life 4 years ago.
Something I wanted to do since I was a kid. I saw that sign out front saying, well, now we're accepting more firefighters, so I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. You know, I went through all the stations, I liked what I saw, I submitted my application, and one of the greatest decisions of my life.
That decision comes with a lot of hard work, and typically that takes place after many have already completed their normal 9 to 5.
After work hours, the pager comes off, we come to the hall, we do whatever it is, whether it's an EMS, fire, rescue, whatever it may be, and then we go back home. You know, we're required to make 15% of our calls per year, which sounds like a lot, but it's really not. Last year I was at 44%.
But for everyone involved, the experience is all worth it, and it builds a community that's not easily broken.
That's really what we are. We're a family of volunteers.
It's hard to explain, really. It's just it's bonding. You're training together and overcoming challenges and obstacles all as one.
In Cheektowaga, Rochelle Aline, Spectrum News.